Welcome back to episode 7 of Meet the Assistant. We're joined today with at least one new face here, Erin Koller, our CEO. You remember James Pollard from our last episode or two, I think. James is the product manager for our pricing application. And again, we're here to talk about the Assistant, some cool stuff that it's doing in pricing right now. Again, the Assistant is simply a level of intelligence that we built, a layer that sits on top of our entire product, making some of the menial and tasks that are kind of a pain for all of you a little bit easier by taking some of that manual work and automating it. So today we're going to talk about a feature that's very specific to pricing. It is our perfect match rate card. And it really solves a challenge that we've had in the industry for a long time. And that's that traffic systems and proposal systems do not talk to each other well, even if they're built by the same people, such as Wide Orbit Traffic and WAMs. So, Erin, why don't you tell us a little bit about the problem that we're solving and why you think it's been so important that we've, marched down this path?
Absolutely. So as Chris said, traffic systems and proposal systems inherently do not speak to each other very well. But the challenge is that we price traffic shows. We need to see the programs as they are in traffic with the avails and the sold and the average rates and all of that incredible information that helps us calculate rates. But sellers sell these shows in the proposal systems, whether that's Wide Orbit Media Sales or Strata. And so while we originate the rates connected to the traffic programs, we need to be able to break them down to all of the various actual programs that can air in that time period. Monday Prime A on an ABC station can be Dancing with the Stars and The Bachelor, both in the same quarter. Historically, we were only able to provide one rate from Monday Prime A on one line on a rate card. Our users would need to try to figure out how to break out that rate to align to the various programs that air in that quarter. Now they don't have to. By utilizing the Assistant and the Perfect Match rate card features, now we can actually see the breakdown of all of the various programming that can air in one time period as it may be laid out in Wide Orbit Traffic.
Yeah, I mean, striving to price intelligently and accurately as possible. Obviously, a Dancing with the Stars encore may demand a lot more money than, a program that airs in the middle of the season, right? Or an encore. So
things like understanding the air dates of the various programs that may be connected to that traffic code was a real technical challenge. We would have stations that had assistants that would take our one line of rates from Monday Prime A with rates for every quarter, and they'd insert on an Excel rate card new rows that they'd have to look up on a schedule or in WAMs what weeks, what programs aired, create separate lines, pull the rates down. And on top of that, it was when you would take our rates and the file that can be uploaded into Wide Orbit Media Sales and Strata, there would be a lot of blank lines because we were really only connecting to one program. So the end goal of this, one of them is that when you import a file into your proposal system, there are no blanks, there are no zeros, there is a rate on every program.
This sounds like a lot of busy work. And it also sounds like we named the Assistant the right thing. If assistants were helping in the past,
that is a perfect
Assistant is here to help.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're solving more busy work with the Assistant, which is exciting to hear. And it sounds like we've taken a lot of work off of different people's plates. I get to kind of play a very quiet role in this episode because James and team found out how to help solve this problem with the Assistant. So James, you can kind of take us back to the beginning and walk us through this thing.
Sure. Yeah, so the Assistant here is really just the model of that engine that is driving the matching between how a traffic show and a proposal system show relate to each other week by week. So it's doing all the internal matching in the back end, along with kind of our guidance as our analyst team. It's matching those together, and it allows us to provide a more detailed view of the rate card to the user. It's actually showing you kind of each row broken down as it is in the proposal system. To Erin's point, then that basically breaks down by if it was two shows that previously were one line, you'll now see those split down line by line. And still on that rate card, you can start to bring in additional things that are more traffic based, like the units remaining or minutes remaining actually on that rate card for that more detailed line view, or the average unit rate as well. The other benefit here really too is around even like sports. If you think of it as like Monday Night Football, if you're breaking that down in a traffic system by like each individual game, you will now be able to see in a detailed view like each individual game exactly as it is in your proposal system, whether that be like WOMs or Strata. Another real benefit here too is even when exporting this, if you export this as a Excel rate card now to share with your team, instead of seeing that old view where it would just be the more generic traffic name of a show, you'll start to see a more detailed view that's actually mirroring what's in that rate system. So if you're passing it off to AEs or in teams internally, you'll still be able to see a detailed view that's more reflective of what you would see in a proposal system.
It's even smart enough to read the air dates. So as James was describing that example of Monday Night Football, it will have one line for each game with one rate for the week in which that game airs. Instead of just a single, as in the old way, it would be a single line, a generic Monday Night Football, and all 13 rates would be aligned there. Now you can see it stair-stepping week to week. And you can easily set different rates for the different values of those games. So if this is your local team, then obviously you can easily set a higher rate than if it is one where there might be less local interest.
All of this sounds like beneficial to the assistant role that you mentioned, Erin.
Yes.
The manager who's got to deal with all this busy work.
Yes.
Is there like a down the chain benefit to the AE in the end from this feature? I don't know. I'm sincerely asking. I'm not close enough to this.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the AE may not necessarily see a lot of change if they had assistants or sales managers that were doing this work before it even got to them. They don't know that now it's actually just a lot easier on their boss and the assistant that's supporting them. But on the other hand, there may have been managers that weren't necessarily doing the work, and the AEs were having to maybe hunt down the applicable rate for that week connected to that generic code, and now everything is filled in for them. So I think it depends on what was done before.
Yeah, they might be making assumptions about what the rate should be,
Yes.
which is even worse, right?
That's an excellent point. It may have been that the manager wasn't really getting into the detail, and the rate wasn't the perfect rate for that local team game, for example. And now it's just so much easier to break that out from the get-go. Another thing that's kind of cool about our perfect match rate cards is when there's new programs being added to your proposal systems all the time. And so now it's really easy when you view the rate card after it's been loaded by your analyst and you get that email that says your rate cards are ready, you can easily see where there are blanks. There are no rates associated because that was a new program. So a sales manager or somebody else who's responsible for checking and publishing the rate cards before they get to the AEs or they get loaded into WOMs can easily just skim, find the zeros, fill them in. It's also important to note this works for both our regular rate recommendations, whether they're weekly or monthly or grouped or tiered in some way, and priority rates. So you can set different priority rates for the various programs that might be connected to a single wide orbit traffic show. This will be really, really significant when it comes to political, for example.
What I think is
clarify.
something that not everybody may know too is that once we have those rate cards published in our system, we have the ability to work with stations to upload those directly into the proposal system, so they're not having to make a bunch of changes inside the proposal system. They can just work in one area and
Yes.
then do that. So if you're interested, please reach out and contact one of us, and we can tell you a little bit more about that. So.
Yeah, I think it's important to acknowledge that we are still finding out about stations that use wide orbit media sales or use Strata and weren't using even our old clunkier integration because it was too clunky. The value wasn't really there when you had to fill in so many blanks. So we are working as a consultant team to re-engage with all of our customers to understand what proposal systems they're using and say, hey, did you know this is now a far better product and will solve so many problems for you. The ones that I have talked to recently are just thrilled with the possibility of just being able to take the rates that they know and trust that we calculate for them, pull them into WOMs in a matter of, a minute, and everything's there. There's nothing more they have to do.
And to clarify, available now, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Absolutely. There is a
Available at all.
minor amount of setup. If you've never used our integration before, you just have to send us a file of programming, and you do need to get into a regular cadence. We recommend once a week, right before your call, you send us that file out of WOMs or Strata. That is the list of programming that then this assistant, runs the matching, and then we will make available after your call every week the rate card or the file to then download to your computer and upload back into WOMs or Strata.
It's available to all customers, right? Who use Strata or
Correct.
WOMs.
Absolutely. Yep.
Correct.
And how much are we charging for this?
$0. Correct, Chris?
Yeah, the low price of free, which we think this is one of those things that should just be offered to our clients as an expected benefit, not something that we would upcharge for. So, yeah. Well, guys, thanks again for joining us. Remember, you can always reach out to any of us, and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you can catch more episodes of Meet the Assistant. Thank you so much, Erin, for joining us, and James. Check back in next time around. You'll see Taylor and I's face again, and maybe you'll be lucky enough to see one of these two as well. So, all right. Thanks, guys. See
Thanks,
ya.
everybody.
Thank you.